Okay, let's just dive straight in because the context for what we're looking at today it's genuinely shocking.
It really is. It sort of flips our whole perspective upside down.
For decades, we've all been conditioned to look up, to the stars for the great mystery.
Right, for UFOs or UAPs now. But the sources we've compiled for this deep dive, a lot of recent military reports, they suggest we've been looking in completely the wrong direction.
And think about that irony for a second. We have rovers on Mars. We know the surface of another planet better than our own seabed.
It's a jaw-dropping statistic, isn't it?
Okay.
95% of our own planet's oceans are just a black box, unexplored.
We're talking about a world of total darkness, crushing pressure, and just silence.
It's an environment that's completely hostile to us, which, if you think about it, makes it the perfect place for something else to hide.
And that's where the focus is shifting, away from unidentified aerial phenomena and towards, well, something else. The reports we're analyzing today show that they're not just flying above us.
They're swimming beneath us and hiding. Today, we're diving into the enigma of USOs, unidentified submerged objects.
So our mission for you is to really get into the source material on these USOs. We're going to tackle two huge physics-defying ideas. First, their movement.
What the military is calling transmedium travel, moving between air and water.
And second, where they might be hiding. The implications there are, well, they're profound.
So let's start with the movement, because honestly, that's the most terrifying part. It's not the shape of the objects or the lights, it's how they move.
It's the mechanics of it. The simple act of their travel suggests a technology that just shouldn't exist, not according to our laws of physics.
Right. The military observers, the analysts, they had to invent a whole new term for it just to describe what they were seeing on radar and sonar.
Transmedium travel.
Exactly. And this isn't, an airplane landing gently on the water. This is an instantaneous, seamless transition between two completely different physical states.
Okay, let's really unpack how impossible that is. Transmedium travel means going from air, which has very little resistance,
to water, which is incredibly dense
Yeah.
and has massive drag, and doing it with no apparent effort. No slowing down.
To really get the scale of this, you have to use the analogy from the sources. Picture one of our most advanced fighter jets.
Right, a machine built for extreme forces. Imagine it's flying at, say, Mach 2, twice the speed of sound.
Now imagine that jet just nosediving straight into the ocean.
What happens? According to physics, it's not a splash, it's an explosion.
Because water is non-compressible, at that speed, hitting the ocean is exactly like hitting a solid wall of concrete.
The jet would be catastrophically, immediately obliterated. The kinetic energy is immense. It would just cease to exist. You'd see this enormous plume of spray for miles.
But that's not what's being reported with these USOs.
Not at all. The naval observers, the sonar operators, they all say the same thing. These objects slice through that supposed concrete wall as if it's not even there.
No splash.
Or a minimal one. No catastrophic slowdown. And most chillingly, no structural failure. They just go from air to water like the boundary doesn't exist.
I mean, that fundamentally breaks our understanding of engineering, of thermodynamics.
It's less like propulsion and more like,
Yeah.
I don't know, localized reality manipulation.
Yeah.
It suggests they found a way to cancel out inertia or something.
If they can do that, our science looks like cave drawings.
Precisely. And if they are doing it, there has to be some kind of mechanism behind it.
Yeah.
So the question haunting every naval analyst is, how? How do they achieve this?
Which brings us to the attempts to explain it, right? The theoretical side of things.
Yes, and that leads us to the concept of supercavitation. This is the closest thing we have in our science to try and explain what's being observed.
Okay, so let's break down supercavitation for everyone. The basic idea is that you create a bubble of gas around the object.
A huge, stable bubble, a cavity. The vessel is then technically traveling through that gas pocket, not through the dense water itself.
So the water never actually touches the hull.
Exactly. And because of that, friction, the great enemy of underwater speed, is reduced to almost nothing. In theory, you could reach incredible speeds, hundreds of knots.
And humanity, we have dabbled in this, right?
We have. Russia and the U.S. have both developed experimental torpedoes that use this principle. But, and this is a huge but, this is where the comparison becomes deeply chilling.
How so?
Well, to maintain that bubble, our torpedoes have to use massive rocket motors to constantly blast out gas.
So they're loud.
Extremely loud, like a sonic scream underwater. They announce their presence to everything for miles around. And what's more, they're almost impossible to steer.
Right, you're in this unstable vapor tube. The slightest term could collapse the bubble.
And slam the torpedo back into solid water at high speed. They're clumsy, they're fragile, and they're incredibly noisy.
But the USOs?
The reports from military sonar operators are explicit. They are silent.
Silent. Well, moving at speeds that outrun our fastest nuclear submarines.
Hundreds of knots. Sustained. So that's the contradiction that it blows the supercavitation theory, as we understand it, completely out of the water.
Because if they were using our version of it, they'd be the loudest things in the ocean.
They'd be screaming. The fact that they're silent implies they've solved two physics problems we haven't even really begun to understand. Silent, massive propulsion, and stable navigation inside that bubble.
The technological gulf is just
Wait,
enormous.
It's a chasm. They're operating in a way we can't detect, let alone comprehend.
Which is, yeah, it's humbling. And it has that sci-fi horror feel to it, to know something is moving around in 70% of our planet that we just can't track or explain.
And that leads us to the next logical question, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If they can move like that, where do they go? If they're here, where are they hiding?
Where does a silent, hyper-advanced intelligence park its vehicles? They must have bases, staging areas.
Well, according to the sighting data in the sources, there's a very strong pattern, a geological one.
Okay.
The objects are consistently sighted, clustered, near the edge of the continental shelves.
Mm-hmm. The drop-offs. The zone where the shallow seabed just plunges into the deep abyss.
Exactly. The very point where human surveillance capability becomes effectively useless. Our ability to track anything just falls off a cliff, literally.
And what else?
They're also seen near the deepest parts of the ocean, the deep-sea trenches. The Mariana Trench is specifically cited in multiple reports as a hotspot.
The Mariana Trench, that's what, nearly 7 miles deep? The pressure is 1,000 times what it is at the surface. It's absolute darkness.
It is the perfect place to hide, the ultimate stealth. No human eye can see there. No radar can penetrate that deep. It is a domain where they would have complete, unchecked sovereignty.
So you have this physics-defying propulsion combined with the ultimate hiding spot. And this is where the speculation in the sources gets really wild, isn't it?
This is where we move from military analysis into something much more existential.
We need to talk about the crypto-terrestrial hypothesis.
Right, and it's an unsettling idea because it throws out the one assumption everyone makes.
That these are visitors, aliens, from another star system.
The crypto-terrestrial hypothesis suggests something far stranger. What if they're not visitors at all? What if they are an ancient indigenous civilization from right here on Earth?
One that developed separately from us.
And one that, long before humans were even a factor, sought refuge in the deep abyss. In the cold, silent, unexplored 95% of our own planet. They realized the ultimate safety wasn't in space, but deep beneath the waves, where we couldn't follow.
So they've been here the whole time, the silent, hidden landlords.
It completely reframes human history. We see ourselves as the apex species, the masters of the planet.
But if the real intelligence lives 5 miles down, with technology that makes our best submarines look like rowboats, what does that make us?
It makes us the noisy tenants living on the lawn, completely oblivious to the sophisticated civilization running things from the foundation.
Okay, let's just quickly recap what we've covered. We started with the basic, shocking fact of the unexplored ocean. Then we hit the USO capability for transmedium travel.
Defying physics by moving between air and water like they're the same thing.
Then we looked at the closest theory we have, supercavitation, and showed how the USO silence proves they're operating on a level we can't even imagine.
And finally, we followed them to their hiding places, the deep trenches, which led us to this radical idea that they aren't visitors, but maybe an ancient indigenous civilization. The crypto-terrestrials.
It's a coherent picture, even if it's a terrifying one.
It is a technological impossibility in a place we can't look, with an origin story that's far closer to home than we ever thought.
So what's the final thought here for us, the land dwellers? The sources leave us with something really provocative to think about.
It connects the sheer size of the ocean to our status as a species.
The ocean is 70% of the planet's surface, and we are stuck on the other 30%.
So maybe we're not the landlords of Earth. Maybe we're just the tenants living on the small, dry bit of land.
Well, the real owners live in the deep.
Exactly. Something to think about the next time you look out at the sea. That vast, silent, dark space might just be the home of this planet's true inhabitants. And you have to wonder, what happens if they decide to stop just observing? It's something to explore on your own.